So I'm gonna wait until my Quantas sign on. I'm gonna go ahead and set this up on YouTube. I'm gonna wait for my Quantas to actually go ahead and sign in so we could actually get this started. And so what I'm about to give you is actual facts. These are actual facts. And so you're going to be astounded by some of the information that you're actually about to hear. Hey, Shalom, huh? Yo, is it possible that you could log in with, through the video? Your screen's actually blacked out. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah. You don't want them to think you running or something. Let me put in some keywords here, man. I'm gonna run this live on YouTube, the other YouTube channel. Shalom, shalom. So once again, you're not under the sounds of the voices of the true disciples of Christ. This is a true disciples of Christ, the Tazadaq takeover. Real priest got the Bible now. This is your house work. So with that being said, we're gonna delve into some historical artifacts and scriptures, and we're just gonna bring out some absolute truth. And as you have actually been witnessing, a lot of people has actually been getting upset over the content that the true disciples of Christ has actually been putting out, but it's been the truth, and no one's actually come up against it. And anyone that does try to come against it will be confounded. This is for the culture of Yasha Allah. This is for the culture of actually telling the truth. And so I'm going to start off with John 8:32. It says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free." But we're going to have to just rephrase that a little bit because people are getting mad. The scoffers are getting mad. So over here, I'm going to have to say, "And you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you mad, then make you free." So if you could actually get over your anger, then you will actually be free indeed. So what we're here today to actually prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that all of these One West splinter camps are actually guilty of blasphemy because they're allowing these admixtures into the nation of Israel. And so it's like, oh my, the Lord God of the Bible is black, a so-called Negro, and all of the Israelites are of a Negroid descent. So that's going to be the title of this. Shalom, brother Quantas. Can you say something so I can make sure I can hear you? Yeah, you're muted. You got to unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Make sure my mic is up here.
Shalom, Khan.
Yeah, I got you now. Got you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're actually going to get started. So we're going to actually be doing this from a PowerPoint slide that I put together for the Scoffers. Let me go ahead and enlarge my screen here. And so what inspired me to do this video is actually all of you Edomites. And that when I'm saying you Edomites, I'm referring to you Euro Gentiles. About a week ago, my rib and myself actually done a video that the God of the Bible, Yahweh, is black, just like the Israelites that he chose to be a special people. And there was a lot of scoffers that came up against the video. They put all sorts of comments under the video, but it was all conjecture. You didn't respond to anything in the video with logical content. It was just all conjecture. You know why? Because a lie can't stand against the truth. Just like these One West splinter groups like ISUPK, where, you know, I guess headed by General Yohani, IUIC, headed by Nate Satan, GMS, headed by Taha, a man that's actually gotten demons on him. The man used to be of a sound mind, used to be a very knowledgeable man. Now he's misleading a lot of young men. Rakar of GOCC, that's actually allowing his people to intermarry with Edomites. All of these groups are going off. And the various other One West splinter groups, like the group that call themselves Sakari, that man that call himself the Guerrilla Hebrew, he's not even supposed to be teaching our people because his father broke the law. And when you go into the book of Ezra, I'm not going to go into this in this particular video, towards the end of the old covenant, all of those people got put away, those women and the children that was born of them. So HODC, why don't you do that? Because you went off too. You're not even the real HODC. You're not the HODC that I used to go to back in the day that was on 127th Street. Well, Barack, you know, I know the history on all of this, man. They locked the door on you and stopped you from coming in to HODC. They wouldn't let you in anymore. So you and Benjamin went off and started a new HODC. That's not the original HODC. And so the reason that there's so many splinter groups is because Yeshua, he made a damn deal with the devil. Yeshua is the one that's responsible for breaking up One West, because he's the man that tried to bring in that new doctrine. He's the one that brought that damn new doctrine in and then try to introduce it to the elder that they was trying to say was King David, reincarnated Mashah. And Mashah said, I don't care how many $1 million they give, I'm not teaching that. When you look at the signs back in the 80s, when I used to see those Salakia, the 90s, like 92, 91, on the signs, it was saying those people, those 12 tribes. So the 12 tribes sign is essentially correct because we got dispersed all over the planet. But on those signs, it used to say of Negro descent. When Yeshua caused that split, that's when you guys started inviting these heathens in. That's when you started inviting the so-called Hispanics and Latinos. It wasn't like that. It was only those people of a so-called Latino descent that was really of a Negro descent. Understand that? I'm getting some feedback from your side over there, brother. I think you must have a speaker. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, I mean, long story short, I don't want to go too deep into that. But Yeshua, he sold out and he started changing the doctrine. You understand? Then it caused all of these splits. But nevertheless, oh my, and to all you Edomites that respond negatively under the other video, this is for you. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to talk to you, you Hotep Negroes that's really Israelites and don't want to admit it. But nevertheless, oh my, Lord, the Most High, God is black. This is edification for all nations. It's edification for all nations. And I'm going to go so far as to say that his chosen people, the children of Israel, when you read the Bible, they are black also, which you refer to as Negroes, as you're going to see. So this is dedicated to all of my brothers and sisters that's caught up, into your Euro-Gentile religions that referring to yourself as Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witness, Baptist, Pentecost, whatever your religious persuasion that came out of Roman Catholicism. I'm here to tell you that it's off and your mind has actually been controlled. Your mind has actually been controlled by your two parents, which is ignorance and illiteracy. And so ignorance and illiteracy has actually essentially produced a baby, and that baby is white supremacy. That's why you worship what you worship. This is why your grandma still have a picture of Cesare Borgia on her wall. You understand? So we're going to go into it. Okay, so this is edification, for the miseducation of Yasha Allah by Tazadaq, the true disciples of Christ. This is Yahweh's work, God's work. Real priest got the Bible now. All right. Now, I got some questions. Have you been a victim of mental manipulation, psychological manipulation, reverse psychology, or a perverse, coercive subsidy, or you know, like a subtle persuasion or participation? Are you participating in your own oppression? If you've if you've actually heard statements like recently in modern day, suddenly after, you know, the Renaissance, and by the way, Renaissance means rebirth. It means rebirth. Rebirth of what? It means rebirth of the Euro Gentiles coming back to power. When they destroyed all of the ancient, most of them, they didn't get all of them, because I'm going to bring out some ancient Russian icons. When they destroyed most of all of the artifacts, they burned the images, and then they started white washing the images. So as a result, our people are participating in their own destructions, and they're told things now after all of that white supremacist indoctrination. They're told that color doesn't matter. God doesn't have a color. Who cares what color Jesus is, and so on and so forth. We're all God's children. This is the normal manipulation that they put upon you now to keep you docile, to make you think like everything is okay. But we're going to tell the truth. This is not racism. This is the truth. This will end racism forever. The truth will. And the truth needs no apology. Okay. I talked about these, you know, these two parents that you have. Not just so-called black people, but so-called white people, the Edomites of the Bible. You had these two parents also, ignorance and illiteracy. Ignorance and illiteracy had a baby. And so what is the baby, Doc? The baby, it's supremacist. It is a supremacist. In other words, white supremacy. When did this start? It started with the Renaissance, which means rebirth, revival. You understand? So this stream is for edification of all nations again. And by the way, visit True Disciples of Christ, www.truedisciplesofchrist.org. Now, this guy right here is the one that most of your grandparents worship. You just about everyone in the world, they change the image depending on where you are, but essentially this is pretty much the original image painted by his lover, Leonardo da Vinci. This man right here, Cesare Borgia, was actually a lover of Leonardo da Vinci, which, you know, pretty much there was a battle between who would actually get to paint this image between Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. Leonardo da Vinci essentially won the decision because he was a lover of Cesare Borgia. You understand? And don't believe me, go and check out this history for yourself. So this is why he actually got to paint the image, Leonardo da Vinci. If you look this man up, he existed around the same time as Machiavelli, the prince that you heard Tupac talking about. Now, the 12 tribes of Israel are of a Negro descent, just like their God of the Bible that chose them to be a special people in accordance with Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter, verse 6. Now, many races, unlearned Euro Gentiles, and people of other nations gave thumbs down to my later video with that title. They gave it a thumbs down. And it was only a reflection of their ignorance, a clear reflection of who they really are, because what you have internally is reflected externally. And so not one of you, again, I reiterate, intelligently responded. It was all mere racist, emotional responses that had no relevance. So I challenge you to question everything that you've learned, not just the Euro Gentiles who are Edomites, but you so-called blacks as well. And most of you are the Israelites of the Bible and don't know it. You've been taught lies, and the world's actually been taught lies. And so this time you've been fed ignorance and illiteracy. And so now I'm going to break you off of that diet of ignorance and give you a full course meal of right knowledge to help you to get rid of that ignorance and illiteracy. Because obviously you can't read for yourself, because if you read for yourself, you will be able to figure this stuff out. So I'm going to give you some right knowledge, or should I say, going to give you some right knowledge. Now, this right here is a bronze statue. Hold on, it looks like something might have skipped here. Give me a second. Yeah, I skipped the thing here. Let's go back here for a minute. Actually, it didn't. So this is bronze, right? Why did I put this here? Because I want to show you what bronze really look like. You see this image, good brother Quantus? This is the description given of both God the Father and God the Son in the Bible. Now, the reason I went and got an ancient image of what bronze usually used to look like is because now the modern bronze has actually all been tampered with. It doesn't even look bronze anymore. So as you see, this is pretty much the complexion of myself, but it's just a little bit darker than me. Now, I'm putting this there for a reason, because we're going to go into the scriptures and see, was this the color of God, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shah? We're going to find out. Now, let's get another closer look of the image of bronze that Daniel and Ezekiel gave when they provided the descriptions of Yahweh Shah. This is what bronze look like. Does this look like a Euro-Gentile's complexion to you, good brother Quantus? Does that look like a Euro-Gentile complexion, any of these things right here? Or does that look closer to you and I? That looks closer to you and I. So, now let's use common sense, right? The only reason, it's like I'm going to skip some stuff here, man. But nevertheless, the only reason, do you have a Bible with you, good brother?
Con, I have Bible.
So give me the book of Revelations, because it looks like I left some slides out here. Give me the book of Revelations, chapter 1. Let's start at verse. Actually, let's read Revelations 1, verse 1. Book of
Revelation chapter 1, verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ.
Okay, stop for a second. Stop for a second. So John is making this very clear that this is the revelations of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah, the one that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. That's why I wanted him to read that, so you can understand who this revelation is. Read on.
Which Yahweh gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John.
Come on. Jump the verse. Okay, now read on. Read a little more. I want a little more of that.
Who bear record of the word of Yahweh and of the testimony of Yahweh Shah Christ and of all things that he saw. Verse 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand.
Hey, jump down to verse 10.
Verse 10. I was in the spirit on the Lord's day.
So John is saying I was in the spirit, meaning the Ruach was on him on the Shabbat, which is the Lord's day, the Lord's Shabbat. So John the Revelator said I was in the spirit. The Ruach was on me on the Lord's day, which is the Shabbat. Read.
And heard behind me a great voice as of
he heard the voice of God behind him. Read on.
Verse 11, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and who thou seest, write in the book.
Okay. So he said, who thou seest, write in a book. So this image that John put in the book of Revelations came from God himself. Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah, God the Son. Read.
And send it unto the 7 churches.
Okay, jump down to verse 13. Jump down to verse 13. We can skip the churches.
And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one light unto the Son of Man.
So now Salaki, the 7 candlesticks is talking about the menorah. The 7 candlesticks is talking about the menorah. Read.
Clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girded about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
Stop for a second. So what a lot of Edomites like to say, you see his hair was white. Red Fox from Sanford and Son had white woolly hair. So it more or less wanted to emphasize the texture of the hair. White woolly hair, like my hair. You understand what I'm saying? Like your hair, good brother. So white woolly hair, like Red Fox from Sanford and Son. Read on.
As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Because he drank wine.
And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they were burnt in a furnace.
Now stop for a second.
And his voice.
I got a question for you, brother. If his feet, the first I want to ask you, if you burn anything, what color does it turn?
Black.
It turns black. So he wasn't even a light-skinned so-called black man. So his feet was like fine brass if it burned in a furnace. So he was black according to the biblical description. He was black according to the biblical description. And so this is why I pulled out that bronze, because bronze and brass is essentially the same thing. Now we're going to go back here, Matthew 2:13. Read that right here on the screen now, brother. Read what you got right here on the screen. Matthew 2:13.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
Now, let me ask you a question, Quantas. Just common sense, right? Now, by the way, Herod was an Edomite, a so-called white man that you could understand. Now, why did the angel of the Lord, if Hamashiach, the young baby that they call Christ, was a so-called white baby, let me ask you a question, good brother Quantas. Why would the angel of the Lord tell Joseph to flee into Egypt with a black baby? Because, what a white baby? Because the Egyptians were so-called black people. We know the Egyptians were Africans. So in order for him to hide amongst the Egyptians, what color must he be? He must be black like the Egyptians. Otherwise, he would have stood out, and it would have been easy to find him. Okay, this is the image of Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, the one that they call Jesus Christ. Ancient icon. Now, this startling news, the God of the Bible is black, meaning essentially bronze. And that's why I put that image up of bronze. Big facts. Now, not only is the Most High black, but Yahweh Shah, the one that you call Jesus Christ, is also black, as is the angels, as which we're going to prove. Now, the word brass in the following scriptures derives from the Hebrew word that is pronounced neklushet. Neklushet, meaning copper, bronze. So now everyone should be able to understand why I put that bronze image up, so you can see what bronze looked like. And keep in mind, they said that was burnt. So it was actually even darker. So you could go and look it up yourself, 5178, neklushet. That's the Hebrew word for bronze. So read that, good brother, Ezekiel 1:7. It's on the screen.
Ezekiel 1:7. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Okay,
so brass is bronze. This is talking about the angels. So now the angels, according to the Bible, are so-called black people also, so-called Negroes. And I'm not making this up. I just want to show people how to think for themselves, and you could get out under this indoctrination that you've been actually placed under. Next screen. Read that, Ezekiel 40:3.
Ezekiel chapter 40:3. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand and a measuring reed. And he stood in the gate.
Again, a so-called black man, according to what I showed, that image of bronze, of brass. From there, read that Daniel 10, verse 5.
Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with the fine gold of Uphaz.
This is talking about Hamashiach Yahushua. Same description that John gave, Daniel gave the same image of Christ. Read.
His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes.
I'm not sure what happened there when that popped up like that, but let me go back to that. Update came up. There's a bronze and brass. Right there.
And his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude.
That means he had a strong voice. So again, we're seeing that Yahushua, the one that they call Christ, is a so-called black man. Now, here's some more. Let me get you some more of it. Let me get you some more of what this bronze and brass looks like. This is an ancient, and I went back and got the ancient images. So due to, the fact that processing has actually become more sophisticated over time, they lighten up what brass and bronze look like. So I went back close to the time of Daniel and got some of the ancient artifacts so you can see what he was talking about. You understand what I'm saying? During the times of the prophet Daniel and Ezekiel, this is what bronze and brass looks like. See it with your own eyes. This image right here comes from 1070 to 664 BC. Remember that both Daniel and Ezekiel used this metal as a descriptor for Hamashiach Yahushua, the one that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Here's some more examples of copper. Copper. Because copper is actually very closely related to brass and bronze when you look it up, when you deal with antiquity. So as you see, copper is the same color. This is our color. So now the truth is going to split your brain in two. So be prepared to either get pissed off, break your computer maybe, if you're not capable of logically or logical thinking. If you're not capable of logical thinking, you might want to leave now, because what you're about to witness is going to upset you. I don't knock anyone having their own beliefs, all of you that's caught up into these doctrines of Christianity. But if you want to believe that Yahushua, the one that you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, is white, then shalom, have a nice life. Because we've already shown that according to the Bible, he's a so-called black man. And no one could come against this and dispute it, because we're reading the Bible verbatim. But on the other hand, deal with research and evidence. That's what we're giving you. Now, first, I will give you a history on when so-called white people, the Edomites of the Bible, began destroying black images, and then how they made the images of Yahushua that they turned into Jesus as white. But please don't take my word for it. I promote doing your own research. Now, let's deal with this word that you see on the screen. Iconoclasm. 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 What is it? Iconoclasm. Iconoclasm is Greek for image breaking. It is the deliberate destruction within a culture or the cultures of one's religions and icons and other symbols and monuments, usually for religious or political motives. So, in other words, the Euro Gentiles participated in iconoclasm They destroyed all the original, or most of the original images of so-called blacks of the Bible that was actually painted. But in Russia, they wasn't actually able to do all of that. But they participated in it heavily. And so this is why now, when you see most of the pictures of Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, it's a so-called white man, Cedra Borgia, and lies, and the angels and everyone else is white. That is known as iconoclasm. Remember that word. Go and look it up for yourselves. Don't believe me, go and check it out. This is what they done. They tried to destroy our ancient images and so on and so forth. One guy was so ignorant. He's like, oh, yeah, you're basing this on a painting. What would be beneficial for a so-called white, good brother Quanis, to go and paint an image of Black Christ? That would not benefit them. So we can't make this stuff up, man. Again, it's the action of attacking or assertively rejecting cherished beliefs for their political values and so on and so forth. So as the definition states, iconoclasm is derived from the Greek. Why? Because that's who done it. That's who started doing it. So because the whole destruction of the Black culture began with the so-called Caucasian race, the Jew Gentiles coming into power and Hellenizing every nation that it encountered. So this was known as Hellenization. It started with the Greeks. Hellenization is the historical spread of ancient Greek culture over foreign people. This is why you believe what you believe today, so-called Black people, and you so-called Euro Gentiles also. You so-called white people don't realize that you're a victim of your own so-called scholars and historians. You too are victims of iconoclasm. You're victims. The Greeks started under the ruling of Alexander the Greek, or should we say Alexander the Free. He sent out decrees to the nations that everyone should leave off their customs of their fathers and all be one people. You can find this in the Apocrypha, man. You can't make this up. So if one examines this thoroughly, this sounds like integration. But if one examines it even further, assimilation, right? So in order to integrate, all participating parties must provide a part of their own culture and become one. In assimilation, all give up their culture and take on the culture of the oppressors. This is why your grandmother has an image of a white Christ on her wall. You understand? This is why when you pray and you get on your knees, the image that comes on your head is an image similar to the same people that put your ancestors in slavery. Similar to that same people that's shooting you in the streets right now. They got on blue uniforms and badges. You understand? This is who you're praying to. It's known as iconoclasm. You're victims. So this is what they did to us, folks. The Hellenization of a major Negroid race was the Hellenization of the Jews between 334 BC and 70 AD. But check it out. I don't want any of you to believe what I'm saying. Go and check it out for yourselves. Go and check it out for yourselves. They were even taking their images in the history books and whitewashing them, even in the Bibles. And so they done it in the 1611 Bible. When you open up, this is when they started attacking us. Remember, they started attacking us around the 14th century, 1453, when they finally overthrew Constantinople. So-called Blacks, Israelites, and Moors have been ruling Europe for approximately 1,000 years, starting with Severius Septimius, the great Roman gladiator that became emperor. But don't believe me. Check it out for yourself. Read what you got right there, brother. First Maccabees. And what he's doing is he's repainting the image of Christ right there. Fulfilling the scriptures right there. He's painting over the images. And this is iconoclasm. This is what it is. Read that, good brother. First Maccabees 3 and 48.
and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
So what this is saying right here, this is why when you open the Bibles now, brother, you see images of them and not us. You see images of them and not us. And this is not racism, man. This is the truth. And the only one that doesn't want this to go forth is a devil, because you hate the truth. He's repainting over that image right there. He's painting, he's destroying the original image and painting an Edomite there. Let's get some more of it. Iconoclasm, the destruction of the black Byzantine images. When you talk Byzantines, you're talking royalty. So now that I've given you a little bit of right knowledge, we can fast forward to the fall of Rome. Now, all of you under the sounds of my voice, when you hear the word Holy Roman Empire, I want you to think black, so-called Negroes. Now understand I'm using these terms so that everyone could actually comprehend what I'm stating. Otherwise, I would use terms like black or Moor. You know what I mean? Meaning someone that's actually melanated. So now we're going to deal with the fall of Rome, in which an Israelite slave gladiator named Septimius Severus rose up and took over. And from that point, Israelites ruled Europe until 1453, until the damn Ottoman Turks came in and overthrew Constantinople. This history is there, man. You just got to do deep research. Real priests got the Bible now, man. We can tell the truth, man. Now, one might be confused by history books, right? That call this man a Greek. They tell you Septimius Severus was a Greek. Why? Because iconoclasm. That's why. But one must understand that firstly, the Greeks had passed many decrees against the Jews, the Israelites, one being that it was unlawful to call themselves a Jew. You can find that in the Apocrypha also, in the book of Maccabees. Now, if one could not call himself a Jew, then he was forced to call himself a Greek. Understand that. This is actually a very overlooked detail, which causes a lot of confusion when religious people read the New Testament. They don't understand what you're reading. This is why the scriptures say, understand what thou readest. See, a lot of times when Greeks are mentioned, it's talking about Hellenized Israelites. Remember that. It's talking about Hellenized Israelites. Now, after the Byzantine Empire rose, very religious and rich icons, some oppose the use of images, interpreting one of the 10 commandments to mean no images, right? So you might think if they opposed it, that obviously they would destroy those images, right? What they do not tell you, though, is that there are a third iconoclastic period, and that was known as the Renaissance. The Renaissance meaning rebirth. Renaissance. Now here's an image. Now, does he look like a so-called white man to you, good brother Quantus? This is Septimius Severus, a gladiator that became emperor of Rome. And we started ruling Europe from this in 193 AD. We ruled Europe from 193 AD all the way up to 1453 until the Ottoman Turks came in and overthrew Constantinople. You won't learn this in history class, man, because they teach us lies. And a lot of you Euro Gentiles, you can't accept this. You don't want the truth, especially coming from someone that look like me. But the Bible says that you shall honor your mothers and fathers so that your days should be longer in the land. And we are indeed the mothers and fathers of civilization. Now, you can like that, understand it, believe it or not, but you can tell it from the mountain. Now, here's him and his family. As you can see, he was dealing with an Edomite. But as you see, he's a so-called black man. Septimius Severus. These are ancient icons right here. I didn't put these together, brother. These are ancient icons. There he is, so-called black man. Gladiator turned emperor, 193 AD. See, Esau destroyed most of the black images, and he taught people that Hey, there was nothing. And then the ones that wasn't destroyed, the surviving ones, he whitewashed. What I mean is he washed the color off of them and made them look white. Often changed the hair texture and all. And I'm not making this up. So in the following screens, you're going to witness a slew of Black biblical images found in the Russian icons. Now, I didn't make these up. These could be, there's a book and they're trying to charge you, and I'll show you how they don't want you to get certain books. The damn book is $300 and some. The cheapest that I seen it was about $169, where I got these images out of. It's called Russian Icons. Let's go. Now, this is an image of Christ. Now, does he look like a so-called white man to you, good brother Quanitz? That's a Negro right there. You see that damn woolly hair? This is a young image of Christ, man. Ancient Russian icons. Now get Cesare Borgia out of that. Get Michelangelo out of that. Get Donald Duck Trump out of that. Get the Roman Catholic Church out of that one right there. You can't. We're dealing with ancient artifacts here. These are Russian icons right here. That's King David. You see that woolly hair? Now, a lot of them want to say, oh, he was ready. David was ready. You don't know nothing, man. You don't know a damn thing. You guys don't know history. The Euro Gentiles, Edomites, has been brainwashed just as well. So you need to learn. And I dare you to go and research this stuff. And if you come back with some damn cartoon book, I'll rip that apart like Mr. Potato Head. Look at that. Look at it. This is a Mashiach and the prophets. Now, do they look like the image that you see in modern day books? No, it doesn't. These are ancient Russian icons. This is a Hamashiach. It's supposed to be Hamashiach right here. These are his apostles. Can't you see they're all Negroids? You know, you so-called Hispanics and Latinos that's in these Israelite camps. Why aren't you in any of these ancient artifacts? I want you to reflect upon that question. But don't answer it. It's rhetorical because I already know. I've already been putting out why you're not there. Because you're not an Israelite unless you're of a Negroid descent. All 12 tribes is of a Negroid descent. All of them. And you can like it, understand it, believe it, or not.
It's 4 o'clock.
Again, look at Hamashiach in the middle. Now, I want people to get a good look at this. You see all of these black apostles and prophets, angel black, everyone's black here. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Quanitz. Just common sense. What would it benefit Euro Gentiles in Russia for painting images like this? How would it benefit them as being Euro? It wouldn't. This is the truth, man. These are our old ancient artifacts that they didn't get to destroy. But they burned most of them and whitewashed many of them. When did they do this? They did it during the Renaissance, the rebirth, when the Euro Gentiles came back to power. See, people don't like this truth. In fact, they hate this truth. And they hate me right now. They might hate you too, brother. Why? Because what are we doing? We're telling them the truth. These are the images that you need to project into your children's head. Look at this war. These are all so-called black people. This is not some painting. These are ancient Russian icons. And you see Hamashiach way up here at the top, man. He's from the tribe of Judah. Just like the Stuarts. One of the other lies that they tell, good brother Quanitz, is that King James was a so-called white man. I seen a damn thing that they put on one of these damn history channels, and they made a damn movie recently and put it on damn Netflix to try and brainwash our people further, calling Mary Queen of Scots a so-called white woman. You got to be crazy if you believe that stuff, man. I'm not going to allow you to teach that to our people anymore. This is for the culture. We're going to show you the true images. Now, as you see right here, although they're still black, this is what I mean about whitewashing. You see how they start to lighten up the images? This is whitewashing. And so over time, these people become white. These people become white with straight hair. That's the game that they play. These are the games that they play. This is Peter and Paul. Black Israelites. Peter and Paul. Yeah, get a good look at that. Because you can't learn this at Harvard or Yale. Look at that, all black. Again and again. Ancient Russian icons. Why don't you learn this in your universities? Why don't they teach you this? They wouldn't dare to teach you this. Why? Because this country is still very racial and they want to deny it. What the hell you mean color don't matter? If it didn't matter, why did they give descriptions of all of the prophets in the Bible being so-called black? And the angels, and God the Father, and God the Son. I'm going to get to that. Look at that. See that fro? They didn't have perms back there, corners. They had to rock that fro, man. They had to rock that fro, man. You understand what I'm saying? He looked like one of the soul brothers from the 70s, man. They started tampering with the images right here. You see what I'm saying? They started tampering with the images. You got to know when they started to fool around with the images. Look at these so-called black men. Look, you got dreads and all of this, man. These are what you would refer to as Negroes. And you wouldn't even call them that today. You'll call them that word that the Nazis like to use. Look at that, all black. Showing you that we was in rule in Europe. Look at that. This is Moses right here, man. This is Moses, so-called black man. Get Charleston Heston out of that, corners. You want to put a damn movie out on Easter Sunday and make a so-called white man named Charleston Heston Moses? Get him out of that. Now, I got a question for America. In 2019, why are you still making images what a so-called white man is Christ? What a so-called white man is Moses? When the Bible explained them, the description the Bible gives is like this. When Moses stuck his hand in his bosom and it came out leprous as snow, that would have been no miracle if he was already a so-called white man. And when he stuck it back in, it turned to the other color. The other color being so-called black. Common damn sense, man. Common sense. You see those froze? You see that? These are angels. This is the description that we read a little earlier. Ancient Russian icons. Look at the hair texture. I want you to get a good look at this hair texture. Now, is this what you see on damn Valentine's card, Quantas? Or do you see little Edomite babies with wings on their back? They don't show this. Why don't they show the truth? Brainwashing. Hamashiach and the apostles again. Look, this is Hamashiach healing. You see that? They're all black, man. They're all black. Now, why would Europeans put out something like this? We did this because we was ruling Europe. We did this. These are our icons. There's Peter and Paul right here, 14th to 16th century. This is when they started to take over 14th century. So you'll notice the images start to change after that. Renaissance. There's King David again right here. He black man with woolly hair. He's from the tribe of Judah. And if the description that Christ gave was black, King David was black. And King James, he was out of the tribe of Judah. The Stuarts came out of the tribe of Judah. The Stuarts was actually in Scotland. King James was ruling there. They were so-called blacks. The Stuarts are descendants of the tribe of Judah. You people have been duped, man. Our people has actually been duped. See, they started to tamper with the images right there. See, it's slowly changing. Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, so-called black men. You can't find this stuff in their books. Now I'm going to discuss the Renaissance, which was a desperate attempt of whitewashing the prior rulers and promoting white supremacy and black inferiority. As I previously stated Renaissance means rebirth, meaning this is when the Euro Gentiles came back to power. Now I'm gonna ask you, have you asked yourself, all you know the sounds of my voice, have you asked yourself the question, what are you being reborn from? Has anyone asked that? What are you being reborn from? You're being reborn from the fact that these people, these rulers, were so-called black people, black Israelites. See, Esau, the Euro Gentile, is telling you it was an illumination, a time of philosophical revolution, artistic inspiration. But is that the rebirth that they was talking about? La, meaning no. It was the rebirth of the Edomites, the so-called Caucasians, finally coming out of slavery once more and being in power, which they're still in rulership today. They're in rulership today. This is why Donald Duck Trump is sitting on the White House. This is why the police could shoot us down in the street and utterly get away with it. Go out and write a book and become famous. This is where 80% of the prisons have you so-called blacks in it. This is why prior to the era that they called the Dark Ages, what do you think the Dark Ages meant, Quantas? That means the period that dark people were ruling, that so-called black people was ruling. That's what Dark Ages means. That's why it was called the Dark Ages, because we was ruling. You so-called whites and you so-called blacks has just seen archaeological evidence of it. I showed it to you. It says a picture's worth 1,000 words, but your programming has been so deep. You're trying, you would attempt to find reasons not to accept this because your mind is so messed up, man. Because of that iconoclasm. Now, if you still wish to believe otherwise, then go and do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Now, I'm going to enlighten you on the Renaissance and the origin of the Caucasian, the Euro-Gentile, the Edomite image of Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, the one that you ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Now, the root image lies in one man, the infamous Italian Cesare Borgia. His life was circa from 1475 to March the 12th, 1501. When you read about his life, and please do your own research. Don't take my word for it. I keep saying that. That's how you know if someone's telling the truth. They tell you go and check it out for yourself. They don't get angry when you ask questions. He is filled with all sorts of conspiracies and apparent criminal practices that have never been declared. Now, at the same time, though he belonged to a very powerful families, the Bulgars, his father, Pope Alexander VI, was willing to spend riches upon riches to make his son a true and living prince. It's been recorded that Cesare traveled, he had 50 mules, 16 stallions, and 48 attending men on horseback with him when he traveled. Now, at one point, there was a competition, this is what I was speaking of earlier, between Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci to see who could actually impress the king with their paintings of his son. The image was supposed to recreate his son to deceive the world. Coincidentally, Cesare already had connections with Leonardo da Vinci and apparently was his secret lover. That's right, you heard me right. Secret lovers. Yeah, ain't no singing, man, but I got to bring it out, man. Leonardo da Vinci won the competition. We know why, because of Brokeback Mountain. That's why he won the competition. All right, let's skip the spot here, man. Getting back to this, man. Give me a second to get back to this, man. Some deep history, man. And the people need to know, man. So Leonardo da Vinci won the competition because he was involved with Cesare Borgia and Brokeback Mountain, to those of you that understand what I'm saying here. They had an alternative lifestyle, in other words, as they say in modern day terms. All right. Now, has anyone ever asked themselves, how could anyone, a painter like Leonardo da Vinci, right, do a painting of a man that lived 1,400 years before his time? Something to think about, right? Mashiach, Yahweh Shah, lives 1,400 years before his time. Yeah, he goes and paint that image, that image of Cesare Borgia. And so, obviously, this man, Leonardo da Vinci, wasn't traveling in time. So it was damn made up. You've been duped. And to those that say, well, Tazadaq, what about the scroll? I watched the history channel, and there was a scroll that looked like the image of Cesare Borgia. You can't deny that. Some of you might say that, right? So let's deal with that for a second. Because we're going to deal with all of the buffoonery and fuckery. So actually, the scroll that the Vatican is holding was used to wrap Cesare's body with it when he died, just to deceive you. Then they brought it out years later. So if that's Cesare Borgia's image, then what does the Christ of the Bible look like? If the images that they've been showing you is not Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, what does the Israelite image look like? The Jew, which means you're of the tribe of Judah. What does this image look like? Well, if you read what me and the good brother Aquinas was going over at the beginning of this lecture, you could see that he was actually of an indigenous descent, just like the original Americans, so-called black. So the image of Christ of the Bible, let's let the Bible speak for itself. Read that again, brother. Revelation 1 verse 1.
The revelation of Yahweh Shah Christ, which Yahweh gave unto him, to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John.
Mm-hmm.
So here is the revelation of Yahweh Shah, the Christ of the Bible.
Revelation 1 verse 10. Read that.
I was in the spirit of the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in a book, and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea.
Yeah. So John at this point was on the island, and he heard someone speaking, which is actually the voice of Hamashiach, telling him, write everything he saw and send it to the 7 churches. Read that, Revelation 1 verse 12.
And I turned and to see the voice that spake with me. And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks.
So he turned around, he saw Hamashiach Yahweh Shah. Okay, read on. Boy, that thing's beautiful, man. So John had a physical turnaround to see who was talking to him. The reason that I emphasize this is because a lot of people claim he was having a vision. Now, can we see that he turned around and saw him, good brother Aquinas? He literally turned around and looked at it. Because a lot of you Gentiles will say, oh, he was just having a vision. He wasn't having a vision. He turned around and he looked at Hamashiach Yahweh Shah face to face. Read on. He wasn't having a vision.
And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. So he saw a man, which is Christ according to verse 1, standing behind the menorah, and he was wearing a priestly robe, reached down to his foot, and had a golden belt. Revelations 1:14. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Boy, that thing's beautiful, man. So he got white woolly hair, and he looked like this thing. This looks like the image. It don't look like that image they've been showing us for years. You see, his eyes was red because he drank wine. He had white woolly hair. You get that image into your head. I want all you jakes to look. And I want you Edomites, you take a good look, because this is what Hamashiach Yahushua would have looked like. You get a good look at this. I'm going to burn this image into your head and burn the lie out. The lies must stop. Here's a red fox. You big dummy. He got white woolly hair. You big dummy. You've been falling for the okie doke, man. Akim and Aquatham. The Christ of the Bible has white woolly hair. And when you look in 1950s dictionary, which you can actually find in the library, the word woolly is used to describe Negroid hair. Like me, I'm so-called Negroid, right? Like all the 12 tribes, so-called Negroid. If you're not of a so-called Negroid descent, you're not an Israelite. Nowadays, they've taken that out of the dictionary. I wonder why. But so, let's look it up in the dictionary anyway. I got a copy of that, and I put it right here. Read that, good brother.
Woolly, covered with dense, often matted or curly hair. Woolly lambs. Here's an excerpt from the book, the Cyclopedia of Anatomy and Psychology.
Physiology. Yeah. Volume 4.
Edited by Robert Bentley Todd, page 1338, lines 12 and 13, first column. The African and Oceanic Negroes alone are characterized by woolly hair.
Boy, that's beautiful, man. So out here is just like I said in my other video, the Negroes, just like the God of the Bible. The Negroes, just like Christ. People, you've been duped. You big dummy. Like Fred said, man, you've been duped, man. So Hamashiach, Christ of the Bible, the real one, had white woolly hair. His head, meaning his hair, and his beard, were all white and woolly. But what about his eyes? What do they mean as a flame of fire? His eyes was red, people, because he drank wine, remember? They call him a wine babbler. Read that, brother. Genesis 49, verse 10.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be, binding his fall unto the vine, and his ass's coat unto the choice vine. He washes his garment in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. 12. His eyes shall be red with wine.
There's a prophecy right there. There's a prophecy right there. His eyes shall be red with wine. Read.
And his teeth white with milk. So the obvious Shiloh is Christ. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. So far, we have that Christ had white woolly hair and had bright red eyes.
This is crystal clear. This is what he would have looked like, man. This is what he would have looked like. Revelations 1 and 15. Read that, brother. I'll get it. Revelations 1 and 15. And his feet likened to fine brass, as if they burned into a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. So his feet was like brass. It's probably 14 verse. What color is brass? I'm talking about pure glass, not that mixed stuff. It's a brown color. It's a brown color. That's why I put the images up. Now, how in the hell do they get this from what we've been reading, good brother Quantus? How did they get this? Does this look like the description that the Bible has given? Come on, man. This don't look like that, man. Come on, people, wake up, man. This is Cesare Borgia, was the son of Pope Alexander VI. Cesare was the Duke of Vatinas. He died. His image was forced upon the Catholic churches as the false image of Christ. Go and read the book of Exodus 20, 3 through 17. So we had a description according to the Bible, of a dark-skinned, white, woolly-haired, red-eyed man. My question to all of you under the sound of my voice, you so-called whites and you so-called blacks, does this look anything like the image that we just read in the Bible? No, it does not. Maybe you're not convinced. Good thing that the Bible is repetitive, though, Quantus. Let's see what the prophet Daniel had to say. Let's see what Daniel had to say. Read that, brother. Daniel 10, verse 4.
And in the 420th day of the first month, as I was the my phone, Salaki, my phone.
All right.
And in the 24th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. So Daniel was on the side of a river named Hiddekel in the time of April. How do we know it was April? Daniel was an Israelite of the tribe of Judah. The first month of the Israelites is the month of Abib. Let's see what the scholars had to say about it in Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary.
So depending on whether or not that's a leap year, that's going to fall in either March or April. Read that, brother. Abib.
Abib, an ear of corn, the pre-exilic name of the first month of the year. Exodus chapter 13, verse 4, chapter 23, verse 15, 34, verse 18. After the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. It fell about the time of our March and early April. Why is the time not exact? Because the Israelites count their months by new moons. So Daniel looked up and saw this man clothed in linen, and once again he had that gold belt.
He had that golden belt on, just like the image that John the Revelator saw. Daniel 10. Daniel 10 and 6.
His body also like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass.
Damn.
And
that's the same image.
Words,
Okay, brother.
And his words like the voice of a multitude. Beryl is a precious stone that is green. His body looked like beryl because his clothes of linen were green and shining. Mind you, he is coming with all glory. That is why his appearance is of lightning, very, very bright. Again, his eyes were as lamps of fire. They were red and shining. This is the kicker here, because it say his feet and arms were like the color of polished brass. In order to polish brass, you have to pass it through the fire. That means Christ was dark and shining. This is the true description of the Christ that the Bible speaks of.
This is not the image of Cedric or God, man. Don't look anything close to it, man. This is the real image, man. Real priest got the Bible now, man. Now get the Jesuit side of that. Get the Jesuit side of that, man. Get the Catholic Church and their lies out of this. This is the truth. Now let's touch on Yahweh himself, the one that you call God, the Father of Christ. But let's touch on him. Let's see what the book has to say about him. John 14, verse 8.
Philip said unto him, Lord, show us the Father, and it suffices us. Yeshua said unto him, have I been so long time with you, and yet has not thou known me, Philip? And he that had seen me have seen the Father.
Huh? What he say? So that means the Father looked like him, man. That means the Father is black like him, a so-called Negro, black like me. Right? As Langston Hughes say, man, As Langston Hughes say in one of his poems, rest at evening, a tall, slim tree, night becoming tenderly black like me. Oh, man, I love this, man. This is the truth. This is the truth that they hate. And we're giving you the truth. We're giving you right knowledge. So Philip asked Christ, Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, what does God look like? Christ answered, he looks like me, which means God is black. You call it Moor, you call it black or Moor, whatever you want to call it. Neklushet in the Ibri. You understand? Now let's see what the prophet Daniel says, what Yahweh, God looks like. Read that, brother. Daniel 7, verse 9.
I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire.
Okay. Ancient of Days, meaning having no beginning of days or no ending of days. That means this is Yahweh, the Ancient of Days, no beginning of days, no ending of days. He had that woolly hair also. He had that woolly hair also. So we saw a vision. All the kingdoms got destroyed, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Who is the Ancient of Days? No beginning of days, no ending of days. Got to be talking about Yahweh himself. He had pure white clothes on, and his hair was like pure wool. Now, I want you to note, oh, man, I lost my spot. Let me go back to this, man. So we're seeing both God the Father and Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, so-called black men. So-called black men. And you hate yourself for being black. You better learn to love yourself, man. You better go back to the old James Brown and start saying it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Neklushet. I guess it's good. Most High must wanted this to keep flashing back so these images could be burned in your mind, man. Repetition. When you flash them like this is how they make you want movies at the pop, you know, make you want popcorn at the movies, man. They flash these images like this. All right, now notice it didn't even say white wool this time. So you can't use that excuse. It's only talking about color. His hair was pure wool. So you can't say it was talking about white this time. It just used the description of wool. So you can't just say it's talking about color. It's talking about the context of the texture of his hair. So that means that the whitest and nappiest of hairs. Just read it in week, folks. It's the truth. Israelites, you should read this and feel good. You sisters need to stop dyeing your damn hair. Getting it fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Getting it blonde and love yourself and be yourself. This man looks like you. And so, like I said in my last title, the God of the Bible is black, just like the Israelites, that he chose to be a special people. I say it, and we've proven it with images and the Bible. What more do you want? In the words of one of your own, you can't handle the truth. Hey, read that, good brother. Revelation 4th chapter, verse 1.
After this, I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and at the first voice which I heard was at it were a trumpet talking with me, which said, come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne, and he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there is a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald.
So-called black man. Jasper. Let's see what it says here about Jasper, man. What is Jasper? What does it look like? Okay. It could be red, yellow, or brown. Now we know it's talking about brown because the other images that they gave was brown. Revelations 2:18. Let's see what this Jasper looked like. Read Revelations 2:18, brother.
And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira, write, these things saith the Son of Yahweh, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass.
So there it is again. He's a so-called black man. The original man was black, since God is a black man. Why do I say that? Because the Bible says that God created man in his own image and likeness. So the first man was black, backing up science. Tell it from the mountain, man. Black people, or the ancient humans. We are the mothers and fathers of civilization. Now, you can like it, understand it, believe it or not, but you cannot dispute this truth. And the reason that you can't get it by now is because you're blinded. The Lord has blinded you purposely. The creation of the original man right here. Read this, brother. Book of Genesis 1:26. The Most High created him in his image and likeness, so he had to be black. Because we just read that God in Christ was black.
And Yahweh said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Boy, that's beautiful, man. And you hate yourself, man. You people better learn to love yourselves, man. Stop trying to be something else and be what you are. Man, lost my place again. Learn to love yourselves, family. Especially so-called black women, man. Stop getting the fake hair. Stop, stop emulating these nations, man. The Most High chose you to be a special people. Go and read Deuteronomy 7:6. The Lord goes with us. Lord said, therefore shall ye be separate, ye and all your people, from all the people upon the face of the earth. Okay. Now, based on what you've learned here, is this the image of Yahweh Shah? This looks more like Charles Manson, man. This looks more like Charles Manson, and they've convinced you this is Yahweh Shah. This is the image that is talking about, if he that cometh preaches another Jesus that we have not preached, you might receive him. Some space again, man. Don't get upset, man. Folks, learn. Use your brain. Think for yourselves. That's why you have a brain. Use it to think. I'm talking to you Edomites also, you so-called whites. You know this is the truth. You can't dispute this. You could bring out any of your scholars or anyone against me, I'll shut their ass down, man. Real priest got the Bible now, man. You can't stand against this truth, man. And I don't apologize, because the truth needs no apology. Okay, let's read this, brother. First Maccabees. This was all documented. I shouldn't say 200, it should say 2,000 years ago right here. This is a typo. First Maccabees 3:38. I mean, Salaki 3:48.
And they opened the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their image.
So this happened during the time of the Renaissance, meaning rebirth. Read on, Job 9:24.
The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof.
See, he painted over all the images. He painted over all of the images. Who's ruling the world? It's a rhetorical question. I know you're not going to say it. I know you're not going to say it. It's a rhetorical question. Who's ruling the world? Who painted over all of the images? Read that, brother. Psalms 58:3.
The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies.
See that? So color does matter, especially when it's tied to the truth, family. Don't let anyone ever tell you color don't matter, man. If color didn't matter, they wouldn't painted their images. You understand? Color does matter. If color doesn't matter, what about this then? The hell you mean color don't matter? Yeah, right. How will we be able to distinguish between the seasons if color didn't matter? Come on, man. I'm not going to allow you to teach that garbage to my people anymore. Now, let's deal with this. Let's deal with King James, man. Let's deal with the Scots. And this is a book that I would suggest you guys read. When Scotland was Jewish. And the reason I'm suggesting you read this is because they're trying to hide our history in this. So now let's dispel more lies that was purposely taught to you, so-called blacks, and the world. When Scotland was Jewish, page 21, it reads, can you read that, brother? The Stuart family.
Let's us now dispel more lies that was purposely taught to the world. When Scotland was Jewish, page 21. The Stuart family, Salakia, page 21.
Yeah, the Stuart's family maternal line in France was descended from the tribe of Judah. Why is that important? Because if the Stuart's family descended from the tribe of Judah, and we've already shown you that the tribe of Judah, so-called black people, because that's what Christ came out. He was a so-called Jew. So the Stuarts of Scotland were so-called black people. They descended from the tribe of Judah. Let's deal with it. It also reads in that same book, page 21, that the Stuarts descends from the Sinauchos of Dole, Brittany. Brittany meaning France. That's another word from France. The Stuarts came to England with William the Conqueror. Walter the Stuart came to Scotland with King David I. Now I want you to pay specific attention to these names that they're using, right? Now, by this book's own admission, King James' father was from the tribe of Judah, because it says that the Stuarts came out of the tribe of Judah. And King James' father was a Stuart. So therefore, we can conclude that King James was from the tribe of Judah. And we've already proven that that was black, because Hamashiach Yahushua was out of the tribe of Judah. Now, so King James had to be black because his father was black. He was a Stuart. And Mary, Queen of Scots, was a so-called black woman, contrary to what Esau is trying to teach you today. Now, on the cover, I have this book in the room, Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. You could go and look up the book yourself. They have a black queen named Queen Charlotte. Queen Charlotte is on the cover of that book. This is what she looked like. This is what she looked like. Don't you know, brother, they done whitewash her also now and trying to make her look white. Her hair don't look like that anymore. They didn't utterly, like I said, man, in 50 years, Michael Jordan is going to be a so-called white man. Watch what I'm telling you. If they're still in rulership, I really don't think they're going to rule that long, because they are below zero population growth, according to their own statistics. So this is Queen Charlotte. You can't see she's a so-called black woman. Here it is again. The Negro characteristics of Queen Charlotte. I can't make this stuff up. Why is Esau whitewashing these images? You've been duped, family. Get your mind right. There she is again. Now when you see her, she's a so-called white woman. Just like Mary, Queen of Scots, they made her white. Just like King James, they made him white. This is what they make her look like now, brother. Now, can you see the difference here? Now, this is after Renaissance image. Look at this. You see that? Why did Euro Gentiles whitewash this image as they did so many? And I told you already, it's called iconoclasm. Iconoclasm. I'm going to say it again until you get it. Iconoclasm, 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 iconoclasm. You remember that word, man. And when you see this kind of stuff, you'll know what's going on, man. They dumb you down, man. You've been duped. First Maccabees 3:48 again. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathens had sought to paint the likeness of their images. Is that not what they did right here? Is that what they did with the image of a Mashiach Yahushua, the one that you call Jesus Christ? We're not standing for this anymore, man. Real priests got the Bible now. Now, this sister looks nothing like that other woman that we just saw, man. This sister's a so-called black woman. And so we could prove that because of a poem that was written at her wedding by King George III. And I got excerpts from the poem, and I'm going to let the good brother Cronus read it. These are excerpts from the poem. Oh, man. Move to my space here, man. Oh, I know it's heavy, man. It's too much weight for one brain to take. You may have to go back and watch this 10 times and then take it in sprees so these sectors of your brain could get overwritten, you know, just like a computer, man. When you delete that madness, man, you got to replace it with right knowledge. Replace it with the truth. Not more lies, but the truth. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you mad, then make you free once you get over your anger. This is for all nations, because all nations have been lied to utterly, literally. Okay. Charlotte. Now, here's the poem. Oh, man, I keep missing that poem. Oh, man. I know a lot of people getting upset, man. They don't know what to do when they see stuff like this because it goes against everything that they've been taught. And so a lot of people can accept this, man. So you'll continue to lie. You could either accept this truth or you could continue to lie. And the lie is not going to profit you anything. Because then you're going to have to continue to try and tell lies to cover up your lies. And, you know, we're going to keep cutting you with the truth until you receive it, to those that can receive it. Just like you Israelites with these heathens in your camp. I am going to continue to cut you with the truth until you can receive it. All right. See if you can read that, brother. That poem, because I don't want to go forward again.
Descended from the warlike Vandal race, she still preserved that title in her face, though shown her trumpets or Badias, plain and illusion fears, their name retains. They but subdued the southern world with arms, she conquers still with her triumphant charms. Oh, born for rule, to whose victorious brow the greatest monarch of the north must bow.
So that's what they said about Queen. That's a poem that was written for her. That's a poem that was written for her. And they done made her so-called white. There she is. This is a color. This is a cover right here of Sex and Race by J.A. Rogers. She's on the cover of it. So-called black woman. Now, let me reiterate here that she was from the warlike Vandals. Between 428 and 429, the entire Vandal nation set sail for Africa. The Vandals terrorized Rome. They terrorized Rome. And yes, come on, they were so-called black people. Read a book Ancient and Modern Britons, page 24 and 25, it tells you that. Ancient and Modern Britons, page 24 and 25, tell you that they was black. Now, these are coats of arms right here, right? These are coats of arms. I want to point out two specific people right here. See this right here? This is King James right here, the woman to the far left with the crown in front of her facing forward. This is Mary, Queen of Geats, King Jay's grandmother. The woman over to the far right with the other afro, I want you to notice that they're happy to be nappy. They're rocking the afros. They didn't have no perms back there. This is Mary, Queen of Scots. So now why are they doing modernized movies and then making this sister a so-called white woman? Because it's pure racism. These are coats of arms, man. This is our ancient history. These are Israelites and Moors. You see that? Blackamoor. Blackamoor. So that's King James' great-grandma. Now keep in mind, his father was a so-called black man. He was a Stuart from the tribe of Judah. Now, if he had a black grandma, a black mom, Mary Queen of Scots, how in the hell do you get this? How did they get this, Quantus? Come on, man. Stop playing, man. How did they get this? From King James' grandmother and his mother, Mary Queen of Scots, how did they get this image? You've been duped, man.
Image.
You've been duped. You see the games that's being played? These are the games that they're playing on you, man. Wake up, people. Here's King James. Here's King James right here. This is right now. It's for real. That's the real image of him. These are the real images of him. This is what he looked like. He's a so-called black man. Then they lied on the man and trying to say he was a homosexual. And they try to destroy, they try to murder the man. This is his son right here. His son was beheaded. This is Charles. This is King James' son, King of England. Like I was telling you, and so how the hell he got a name? He went by a name as Black Boy, Quantus. What Edomite you know they call Black Boy? Come on, man. Oh, they're brainwashing, man. They hunted this brother down and beheaded him. Black Boy, keep that in mind. Can you read that right there, brother? What's in that book right there? The highlighted portion.
I know that this image of a black King James can be a little confusing because of your Western education, but this is the truth that is known by the rich and the elite in the world. I had to get your minds ready to perceive the truth. King James came from a long line of black Scottish Stuart kings, 343 years of rulership in Scotland. The Stuarts not only ruled in Scotland, they ruled France, Spain, Ireland, and England, Britain, Wales.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. Here it is again. I want you to take note of that here. His grandma and his mother were black. How did they get that image that we show of these modern day King James? They're happy to be nappy, man. They're rocking afros, no perms. So now I want to deal with these very briefly, these Kemet brothers that claim to be Kemet, like Jabari and Seti, right? They like to say that Bible personalities never existed, unless you could come up with some papyrus stating it or showing proof that Moses or King David ever existed. Now I got to give it to Jabari. He was sunning divine prospect at that last debate. While the other Israelites, you just sit right there in the damn audience and you didn't say a damn thing. This guy Tazadaq, he gave some damn response. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. Now, here's what you Negroes don't get. You Hotep. I'm gonna call you Hotep Negroes because really, you're Israelites also, but you won't admit it. You're just Hotep Negroes, right? And H-O-E Tep, H-O-E ho, because you being pimped by Esau as well. Because all your doctrine, all your information that you're debating against the Israelites with, it comes from Esau. It comes from Esau. So I want you to notice Tazadaq, T-Doc is the one that putting out this information, and you'll start to notice a lot of people are going to start to pick up this information and use it and not give any credit to the course, to the source. Now let's go there, Jabari. Let me make a point first, right? No one has actually ever found Imhotep's bones, but we know that he existed. Why do we know that he existed? Because his name is actually in writings. And so no one thus. Why don't I just show King David's name in writing of ancient Paleo-Hebrew? Because you guys don't show the bones of Imhotep, because it's actually against the Egyptology to actually go and dig up a tomb and so on and so forth. Don't hate the right knowledge, Negroes. Embrace it or deal with it. Now, how is it that Israelites have actually been slaves? We've been slaves, right? And we've been able to tell folks that haven't been slaves that they're not the original Arabs. That they're not the original Arabs, that the people now that refer to themselves as Arabs are nothing but Ottoman Turks that went over there and they ravished those women. The real Ishmaelites were so-called black because Abraham was a so-called black man. And Hagar, his wife that the Ishmaelites came from, was a so-called black woman from Africa. So how in the hell can the Arabs be black? When you deal with antiquity and the etymology of words, the word Arab comes from the root word Araba, which means a person that roams from place to place like a nomad. So what happened is the Ottoman Turks came down and they raped those women and they produced those Arabs that you see today. Do you understand? Do you understand? You've been brainwashed, folks. Now, since our brothers, these Hotep Negroes, said that King David doesn't exist, why is his name written on this stone? Can you Negroes read this Paleo-Hebrew? Why is King David's name mentioned on this stone if he never existed? In ancient Paleo script. Here it is again. Oh, my bad. I probably shouldn't even ask them could they read that, because they can't even read the Mendu Netter, which supposed to be your language. But you don't even read the Mendu Netter. So my bad, I should have never asked you, could you read this ancient Paleo-Hebrew? And by the way, the Mendu Netter is a dead language, meaning that it's not used anymore. Hebrew is not a dead language. It's well and alive today. Now, since our brother divine prospect didn't know how to shut you Hotep Negroes down, I'll do it in a few words. Can you Negroes read this ancient Paleo-Hebrew? If you could, you would see that the house of David is mentioned on this stone. This is why you believe what you believe. This is why you Hotep Negroes believe what you believe. This man right here is the author of all your confusion. Jean Franco Campillion, a Euro-Gentile Edomite. He was a direct descendant of Edomites. He's the man that's responsible for being the father of Egyptology. So all you so-called blacks that's following that garbage, you're following him. Look at him. This is your daddy right here. This is where you get all of this from. Jabari, Seti, and all you Hotep Negroes. Just go ahead and admit that you're Israelites, man, and come on home, man. Get a good look at it. This is the father of Egyptology. He's responsible for the translation, or the so-called translation, of the Mendu Netter. Read this, good brother. Read that what you see there in the red. This man is the father of Egyptology.
Jean-François Champollion, 1790, 1832. Building on the work of Sylvester de Sacy, Johann David Ackelblad, William Banks, and Thomas Young deciphered parts of the hieroglyphic writing on the Rosetta Stone in 1822 and proved that the written ancient Egyptian language was similar to Coptic.
See that? So this man right here is Edomite, is considered to be the father of Egyptology. This is who all these so-called blacks that call themselves Egyptologists and Kemet is following. They're following his interpretations. That they're going to try and denounce the Bible and say the Bible comes from these guys, man. Man, you can miss me with that, man. So by default, you can't bang on Esau because he taught you Hotep Negroes, Ma'at, Ma'at, Ma'at. You see what I'm saying? Ma'at. And Ma'at refers to the ancient Egyptian concepts of truth, or should I say so-called truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, and justice. Ma'at was also, and this is why they worship the so-called black woman. Most of these Hotep Negroes would bow down to the woman because they all held the mighty vagina. So you Ma'at Negroes, you pay homage to this goddess. Ma'at was a goddess who personified these concepts. This is why they worship the woman still today. Don't get mad at me for showing you the truth. I'm giving you the love. I'm giving you love. Ma'at, Ma'at, Ma'at. Understand? You want some more art? So let's deal with this. Let's go back to the stone. Now I know you guys have heard of this term, the house of David. Read that, brother, Isaiah 7, verse 2.
And it was told to the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim, and his heart was moved, and the heart of his people, and as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind.
Now, why did I put the house of David there? Not that this scripture has anything to do with the stone, but this right here, the house of David, is literally on that ancient Paleo-Hebrew stone, proving that King David existed. This is the Ibrit. This is it in the Ibrit. So the stone isn't referring to Isaiah 7, verse 2. I want to make that very clear. But the house of David is actually mentioned on that stone. So to all of these Hotep or Hamitic people that saying David never existed, why do Hamitic nations have records of him? And why do they have records of King Solomon, like Tyre and Zidane? Are they just making this stuff up? If he didn't exist, why do they have records of David and Solomon? This is what's essential. The essential phrase on the stone is Bayat Dawa, meaning the house of David. Bayat Dawa. That's what's essential on the stone. It is right here. Highlighted it for you. Read that, brother, at the bottom right there. Ancient rock adds evidence.
Ancient rock adds evidence of King David's existence. Stone slab with earliest reference to House of David on display at Met, said to be one of the most important biblical artifacts ever found.
And you know what they do? The Hotep Negroes is trying to tell you this don't exist. Because when some truth come out, Esau always tried to dispel it. But it has the house of David right here in the Ibrit. You see what I'm saying? So what the heck you mean David and Solomon didn't exist? Now this is David right here. This is King David. Does he look like the so-called white man that Edomites like to say he is? What are we dealing with? We're dealing with ancient icons right here. David was out of the tribe of Judah, which is so-called black tribe, just like Christ, meaning he had to be black, meaning different shades of brown. This is Byzantine period. Remember David doing the Psalms, good brother? This is what they're doing right here. King David's Psalms. This is the depiction of King David's creating the Psalms with the musicians around. Get a good look at that. Here he is in the middle right here. King David, so-called black man. Get the liars out of that. Here he is again. This is the capture of him by the Philistines. These are ancient artifacts. I didn't make these up. This is not some painting that Tazadaq created. There's David right there. Here he is again. You see that woolly hair right there? There's a close-up of a young David. Now get Esau out of that. Get Sean Hannity out of that. Get him out of that. Get Rush Lombard out of that. Get Joel Osteen out of that. You can't. All of the prophets were so-called black. Get these hybrid Israelites that you see in these camps out of that. How come I can't pull any ancient relics or artifacts of so-called Hispanics? Because they're not our people, man. The Israelites were and still are of Negro descent. All 12 tribes. And if you're not a Negro descent, you're not an Israelite. Tell it from the mountain. Here it is again. The house of David. Get a good look at that thing. The part that's highlighted in white. Here's a close-up on it. Paleo-Hebrew. Ancient. Now, going back to that, we're almost done. Now, remember the source that I cited, that King David and Solomon was from the tribe of Judah. Therefore, they was black like Christ, like Yahweh Shah. This is why we see these images of such. Remember this book, When Scotland Was Jewish, page 21. Page 21. When Scotland Was Jewish. When Scotland Was Jewish, page 21. The Stuart family maternal line in France was descendants from the tribe of Judah. Khan, the same tribe as King David and Solomon, which is why they're depicted as black. King James himself was black. That's why they wanted him dead. Go and watch a movie called V for Vendetta. In 1605, a Roman Catholic guy named Flaccus, under the orders of the Jesuits, was found in the basement of the parliament with 36 barrels of gunpowder, which he was actually supposed to blow up King James in the entire parliament. That's an assassination attempt. Why am I not surprised that Roman Catholics were responsible for this? Is it because King James was black? Is that why they wanted him dead? His son, King James' son, was actually hunted down and beheaded. Go and check the history out for yourself. These are so-called black men. Like I said, the God of the Bible is black as the Israelites that he chose to be a special people. It was an Edomite. Now, as far as King James being a so-called homosexual, right? It was an Edomite that started that lie 25 years after King James' death, that he was a homosexual. You never heard this lie during his entire lifetime. This started 25 years after his death. The man and his wife had 9 children. What was they trying to do? Destroy his image? As we already proven, he was black, just like the ancient Scots. And the man's name that started this was named Anthony Weldon. Go and look him up. So with that, we're going to bring this to an end. So like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell. And if you need help with common law, then visit my other YouTube channel, The Deprogram Enlightener. This is your house work. This is God's work. And so with that, let me stop sharing my screen here, man. So I'm going to background black. And so with that, we're going to bring this to an end. Thank everyone for listening. My screen still shared. And so again, we're the true disciples of Christ, and this is Yahweh's work. We thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe. We say shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, good brother. Shalom.